I trusted my family with my child, but they chose my jealous sister instead. She tried to hide my baby in a gym bag. When I called the police, she begged me in tears to protect her, but I let them take her away. I, 29F, couldn't believe I had to call the cops on my own sister. My husband, who's 31, and I had just come home from what should have been a nice dinner, but instead, I'm sitting here in shock, processing that call. We have a 6-month-old daughter, Mia, our first, and parenting has been a challenge, but we love her dearly. Yesterday, my parents, both in their mid-60s, offered to watch Mia while we went out. I was hesitant since they aren't exactly up to date with parenting norms, but we agreed as it was just for a few hours. Biggest mistake ever. When we returned around 9 p.m., I immediately asked, "Where's Mia?" My mom gave me this calm, unsettling smile and said they had given her to my sister for a while. I was stunned. My dad chimed in like it was normal. He said Olivia wanted some bonding time. My heart sank. Why would they let her take Mia without consulting me? It may sound dramatic, but they don't know my sister, Olivia, 33. Olivia is chaotic and self-centered. Babysitting to her means sitting on the couch while a baby cries. She once left her dog alone for 3 days because it had food and water. She lacks empathy, and it's always about her. So when I lost it, my mom slapped me again. Yes, slapped me in my childhood home. "How dare you talk about her like that?" she yelled. Olivia is doing her best, trying to reconnect. I couldn't react. I grabbed my phone and fled to my car, calling Olivia as I went. She finally picked up on the third call. I was in tears, asking, "Where's Mia?" Her response chilled me. "Oh, your baby was too noisy, so I put her in a bag and left her somewhere." A bag. It took a moment to sink in. I thought it might be a sick joke, but I knew it wasn't. Shaking, I pulled over and called 911, telling them everything. What Olivia said, where she lived, her car. My husband showed up minutes later after I texted in the details. We sat in silence, dreading the worst. About 45 minutes later, an officer called to say they found Mia in a gym bag behind a closed strip mall, alive but barely responsive. The look on my husband's face when he saw her in the hospital is something I'll never forget. It broke him. Now he's determined to make everyone pay. Olivia, my parents, all of them. He told me, "I don't care if they're your family. They endangered our daughter. I'm going to make their lives hell." And honestly, I can't blame him. We barely slept that night. Mia is stable now, and the ER staff said it was a miracle she didn't suffocate. She was zipped inside a gym bag and left in a stairwell behind a business. Security footage showed Olivia disposing of the bag and walking away. My husband hasn't said much since we left the hospital. He's icy and focused, and that frightens me more than if he were yelling. As Mia was checked for dehydration and trauma, a nurse pulled me aside and asked bluntly, "Is this an abuse situation?" I broke down and told her everything. The dinner, my parents, Olivia, and the call. Child Protective Services were called, and the police had already detained Olivia. We returned to my parents' house around 4 a.m. I didn't want to go, but my husband insisted we needed answers before things escalated with lawyers. My dad opened the door, looking confused, saying we didn't need to involve the police. I completely lost it. I yelled, "She put my child in a bag and dumped her like trash." My mom stepped in front of him, icy, saying, "She panicked. She didn't mean to. She just needed space." I could hardly contain my rage. My husband, usually so calm, looked at both of them and said, "If your granddaughter had died, you'd be in jail as accessories. You let an unstable woman take her without telling us." Then he recorded them saying, "Say that again. You gave our child away because you thought it'd be fine." They didn't respond. My mom stormed into the kitchen, slamming the door. My dad just stood there shocked. We left and decided we were done with them. We contacted a lawyer and are pressing charges against Olivia for child endangerment and attempted murder, if the DA agrees. We're also going after my parents for negligence. According to the cops, Olivia tried to downplay everything initially and then claimed postpartum anxiety, even though she doesn't have kids. She also said we told her to take the baby, another lie. And get this, my mom is pleading with me not to ruin Olivia's life by making this a big deal. I blocked her. I never thought my family would defend someone who nearly killed my daughter, but now it's clear. Olivia has always been their favorite, and they cover for her no matter what. Not anymore. They're cut off for Mia and for me, too. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, I got a call from the detective handling Olivia's case. She sounded tense, and though professional, there was a weight in her voice. You might want to come down to the station. We need to talk. So we did. What they told us made my skin crawl. It turns out Olivia has a sealed record. Not criminal, but psychiatric. 3 years ago, a family in our city had a horrifying incident when their toddler went missing for several hours. The child was found later, locked in a shed, and no charges were filed. The mother left town soon after. That mother? Olivia's old roommate. While living with them, Olivia offered to babysit. The child was discovered locked in a dark shed, bundled in only a onesie during winter. The police had suspicions but no proof. The roommate didn't pursue legal action out of fear and shock, but did submit a report. Olivia was quietly held for 48 hours and diagnosed with a severe personality disorder, likely borderline personality disorder with narcissistic traits. My parents were aware. They were there when she was taken in and helped cover it up, lying to the rest of us about it being a misunderstanding. My mom even claimed people are too quick to blame others when things go wrong. They knew her potential for harm and still let her near my daughter. Olivia's lawyer is arguing diminished capacity and wants her in psychiatric care instead of prison. I'm torn. I recognize she has deep, dangerous issues, but on the other hand, she consciously lied and left a baby in a bag. She knew what she was doing and is now claiming she's just sick. My husband is furious, saying, if the courts don't ruin her life, I will. CPS is investigating not just Olivia, but my parents too, as they allowed her access to Mia and lied during initial questioning. They've been notified of a no-contact order. My mom left me a 7-minute voicemail crying that this would tear the family apart. It already is. This isn't just about Olivia anymore. It's about years of covering up, enabling, and lies. I'm starting to see that my parents didn't just make a poor choice. They've spent years protecting someone who endangers children. Now it's time for the world to see that truth. In the courtroom, we sat in the back row, holding Mia, who was dozing in her stroller, covered in a blanket my mother gave me while I was pregnant. I couldn't bear to look at it. The courtroom was silent except for paper rustling and the judge's voice echoing. My husband, typically calm and diplomatic, now radiated rage. Olivia sat 3 rows ahead of us, cuffed, hair tied back, looking emotionless. The assistant district attorney read the charges: felony child endangerment, unlawful restraint, reckless disregard for life, with possible enhancements pending psychiatric evaluation. When they described how Mia had been found, zipped into a duffel bag in 90 degrees heat, wedged behind a dumpster, I felt my chest tighten. Hearing it in court was worse than I'd imagined. And Olivia? She smiled, a small, mocking grin like she was holding back a private joke. Her lawyer, eager and probably excited about this case, talked about Olivia's psychiatric vulnerabilities, saying she needs clinical care, not punishment. He even dragged my dad's testimony into it, suggesting Olivia's behavior was dismissed too readily and blamed the family for ignoring signs. Classic deflection. I was called to the stand. I handed Mia to my husband, stood up, and felt shaky, but told the truth. I recounted the phone call, Olivia's mocking tone, and her exact words about putting Mia in a bag. I detailed her troubling history, the dog she abandoned, and the child from years ago that she didn't want to babysit. I also brought up the psychiatric hold and the roommate who disappeared. All the lies my parents told. I finished with, if I hadn't called the police within that hour, my daughter would have suffocated in a bag and my sister wouldn't have told me where she was. She would have just watched the news and said nothing. The courtroom was dead quiet, and even Olivia stopped smiling. The judge didn't issue a sentence that day. It was just a preliminary hearing to decide if Olivia would get psychiatric care instead of jail time. But after both sides presented their arguments and the police body cam footage was reviewed, The judge denied the defense motion. My ruling was that Olivia showed awareness, deliberately avoided responsibility, and had no immediate signs of incapacity. The state has sufficient cause to continue criminal prosecution. She's being held without bail, with a trial date pending. After court, I walked right past my parents without saying a word. They didn't even attempt to speak to me. Later that night, my husband played me a voicemail from my dad. "Please don't let this destroy our family. She needs help, not prison." My husband saved it and played it again. He looked at me and said, "This is who your family is. I don't want our daughter near them." For the first time in weeks, I didn't cry. I nodded in agreement. Mia is doing well, sleeping, eating, laughing. The doctor assured us she wouldn't remember any of this. But I will never forget, not just what Olivia did, but who stood by her. Those I once trusted chose silence, denial, and shame over my daughter's safety. This is the line I'm drawing. No contact ever again. We're moving to a different city. We've legally added Olivia and my parents to a restraining order to protect Mia. A lawyer is helping us change our will and emergency contacts. They're dead to us. People like Olivia don't come out of nowhere. They're created and enabled. That protection is gone now, and she'll face the consequences. I'll raise my daughter far away from all of this, where love doesn't come with strings, secrets, or silence. If you've read this far, thank you for listening. Hold your kids close and trust your instincts, even if it means severing ties with those who raised you. Some family don't earn the title.